on June 24, 1987, in the warm city of Rosario, Argentina. He was the third child in a tight-knit, hard-working family who fervently loved football. Naturally, young Leo developed a passion for football himself. His two older brothers and cousins would constantly go out to play, and as soon as he was able, Leo tagged along. But the rest of the boys were much older than Leo, and were hesitant to let him join in. His grandmother, who always went with him, insisted they allow him to play too. After watching Leo take his first football steps, she later convinced Leo's mother to buy his first pair of cleats. At 4 years old, Leo joined the Grandoli local club, where he was coached by his father. His grandmother watched him almost every day as he dutifully trained to develop his skills. When he was 8, Leo joined the talented Newell Old Boys, another Rosario-based club that he had always looked up to. Football soon became as important as the air he breathed. Messi practiced day in and day out, skipping outings with his friends to train at home before a game. The sport made him inexplicably happy and motivated, and he began to dream of becoming a professional footballer. Diagnosed with an inability to grow when he was 10, his beloved grandmother passed away. The family was devastated, and her absence affected Messi beyond description. He didn't touch a football for weeks, but his father nudged him to carry on for the club. He returned, aiming to make his grandmother proud. Over the following year, Leo played incessantly. But as he grew older, his height remained the same. His concerned parents eventually took their 11-year-old son to a doctor, who broke the news that the boy suffered from a growth hormone deficiency. This meant he was physically unable to grow unless he received special treatment, which would span 3 years and cost $1,500 per month. Unable to cover such a costly treatment, Messi's father was left with no choice but to request financial support from the Newell Old Boys club. The coach couldn't deny the child's exceptional talent, and accepted to pay for the treatment. They handed over a small sum to his embarrassed father, but that was all he ever received from them. As his father continued to search for a way to cover the treatment, Leo was scouted by the Buenos Aires club River Plate, home of Pablo Aimar. Leo absolutely idolized the dubbed football genius and was ecstatic at the offer. However, the club was unwilling to cover Leo's expenses since Argentina was currently undergoing an economic collapse. He was undeniably crushed, but it wasn't long before another offer came in, this time from Spain. Stories of a 13-year-old boy who had similar talents to legendary Argentinian footballer Diego Maradona had reached the ears of FC Barcelona's technical director, Carlos Rexach. Intrigued, he sent an offer to the Messi family, proposing a trial where he could see the boy's famed skills for himself. If he passed, the club would cover his medical bills, but on the condition that Messi moved to Spain. In September 2000, Leo and his family uprooted their lives and flew across the Atlantic to Barcelona. The family stayed in a hotel while Leo presented himself to the prestigious FC Barcelona youth team. He was given his uniform and went to the changing room, where he didn't speak a word to his new teammates. They all looked at him in disbelief of how small he was, but after he spent 2 minutes on the pitch, they were in disbelief of how good he was. So he offered him a contract that would change his life forever, on the only thing he had in the moment, a paper napkin. So Messi's first Barcelona contract was actually written on a napkin. At 13, Lionel Messi was scoring his way through the system in record time. While still very quiet and noticeably shorter than everyone else on the field, Leo stood out for his deft ability with the ball and unbeatable goal scoring. He was even named player of the tournament. Behind the scenes of his success on the field was an arduous routine. Every day he practiced and every night he injected growth hormones into his legs. This was Leo's life until he was 14 years old. In barely a year and a half, he had already reached a level in the academy where he could join his first team. His treatment was finally over, and his body began to grow normally again, ultimately reaching 5'7" inches. In 2003, at 16 years old, Messi made his professional debut representing Barcelona in a match versus Porto. His performance surprised his opponents and impressed the technical staff. Even after being kicked down repeatedly, he got up, dribbled past 4 players, and scored a goal. Throughout his career, Messi has been involved in charitable efforts aimed at vulnerable children, a commitment that stems in part from the medical difficulties he faced in his own childhood. Since 2004, he has contributed his time and finances to the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, an organization with which Barcelona also have a strong association. Messi has served as a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador. In addition to his work with UNICEF, Messi founded his own charitable organization, the Leo Messi Foundation, which supports access to health care, education, and sport for children. Lionel Messi is a well-known name even to those with no interest in sports. Even though he is shorter than most of his teammates, he rises above his opponents with adept skill and a legendary ability to score goals for his team. Since his childhood, Lionel Messi, who was nicknamed Leo, dreamed of becoming a professional footballer. But his ambition seemed blown out of proportion when considering his physical limitations and financial restrictions. No one could have predicted that after 17 years and 114 days of non-stop faith and dedication, the Argentinian footballer would be playing for his national team at FC Barcelona. Inspired by his family and motivated by his passion, Lionel Messi pushed his boundaries to go from being the smallest player on the pitch to one of the greatest athletes of our time. There are so many lessons to be learned from his success story. A man who, despite his health problem, despite his poor financial background, despite all the rejections he faced, he was still determined to achieve his dream and never give up.
In terms of their player selection, makes it all the more remarkable that along with Barcelona and Real Madrid, Athletic Bilbao have never been relegated from the Primera Division.
Something to be admired, I have to say. Well, it's real and Riley still going. Look at this, Kevin.
It's a brilliant run from Messi. Can he go all the way? It's one of the great Copa del Rey final goals from the magical, mercurial Lionel Messi. Lights up the Camp Nou one more time.
Oh, Kevin, I said they need at least 2 players to stop him. There was 3 there. He beat all 3 of them. Then he beat another one and he put it at the near post. Messi is amazing. The amazing Messi has just scored one of the best goals you're ever going to see in a cup final. Absolutely superb. And this is the genius of the little man.